Hey, what's up, everybody? I figured I wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday, and spending time with their friends, family, loved ones. Catching it with movies, having lots of turkey. But anyway, I figured if there's one particular review I figured I'd like to share with people was the movie Die Another Day, which uh, I can't believe that particular movie is celebrating 20 years already. I'm like, where does the time go? I'm like, I remember seeing that movie when I was like 15 years old back in high school at the time, and of course, Die Another Day when at the time of its release was kind of criticized for its overly use on CGI and of course its dependency on gadgetry rather than telling a good story. But upon reviewing Die Another Day, 20 years later, I mean, while I will admit it's certainly not the best James Bond movie, but however, it's passable and it's has a lot of action and the 007 formula that people would come to expect. And of course, what made Die Another Day special at the time was that it was the 20th movie in the James Bond franchise, and of course, it was also the 40th anniversary of the franchise. Since Doctor No at the time, being the first 007 movie that was released in 1962, so thus the 40th anniversary. So for this James Bond movie, it deals with James Bond going to North uh, Korea, to stop, General Moon from carrying out plans, to start a war between North and South Korea. But of course, during the mission, his cover gets blown, and of course, James Bond ends up getting, held captive by the North Koreans, and for like 14 months, which was like a first in the 007 franchise. Since usually James Bond ends up escaping, so it was a slight change of formula that he ends up getting, captured, and kind of, I would say, would have been like a potential storyline to see, how agents would go under duress and how their character would change because of that, which I think would have been an interesting storyline to for James Bond to go through. And because of what happened, uh, you know, he's bailed out by MI6, and they thinking that he might have been compromised under the duress of torture. He ends up getting temporarily disavowed. And, James Bond tries to figure out who was the one that set him up in North Korea, which of course takes him, to meet Gustav Graves, uh, who makes like conflict diamonds. And of course, it also, he also encounters Miranda Frost, a fellow MI6 agent played by Rosamund Pike in her, film debut, who would go on, to make many wonderful movies, including her infamous role in Gone Girl. And of course, Halle Berry, plays Giacinta Johnson, who's nicknamed Jinx for short. And of course, for those who may or may not be aware, initially there was supposed to be a spin-off centering on her character, but because of failures at the second Tomb Raider movie and the Charlie's Angels sequel, uh, unfortunately those plans were kind of shelved. Even though it would have been interesting to see a spin-off on a 007 Bond lady, which I think would have been an interesting uh, premise. And of course, John Cleese takes over the role as Q because of Desmond Llewellyn, who previously played Q, passed away, in a car accident, you know, uh, I think just before or after The World Is Not Enough came out, and he does a pretty good job, playing the part. And unfortunately, Die Another Day, at least in the film sense, was the last time that Pierce Brosnan, played, 007 on screen, even though he would portray the character one more time in the Everything or Nothing video game, which I think would have been a pretty cool, feature film had they, turned it into a movie. And of course, Madonna, sings the theme song and, even makes a cameo instructor as the fencing instructor Verity. So, in terms of Die Another Day, it's kind of like, in a sense, like an homage film of sorts because it kind of pays tribute to like previous 007s with the puns and humor, and all. Like I said, it's not really a bad film. Like I said, it's not the strongest, double 007 movie, but it's watchable if you're like in a real mood, to see it. So that's my take on it. So in terms of how I feel it holds up 20 years later, I mean it was the first, of course, in the 21st century to come out. So it kind of has like a slightly different feel as the James Bond movies were trying to find a balance between the humor and I guess going dark and gritty, which of course Casino Royale would take like a more realistic approach when Daniel Craig took over the role. So that's that. So anybody who's seen it, feel free to share your thoughts. If anything, would be greatly appreciated. Uh, okay. Look forward to sharing more reviews again soon. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe holiday.